Hi guys, in this video we're going to take a look at some basic definitions of oxidation versus reduction, and then just look at a couple examples of some chemical reactions where you might be asked to identify whether an oxidation or a reduction has taken place. So these two words you've probably seen in other classes before, but let's just review what these actually mean. And there's several different ways you can define oxidation and reduction. Let's just start out with oxygen. So oxidation could be defined as the addition of oxygen. Okay, that's one way to define oxidation. Conversely, reduction could be defined as the removal of oxygen. All right, so they're inverse of each other. When you have an oxidation, there's something else that's going to be reduced or vice versa. But this is just one definition. There are other possible ways you could define or see an oxidation or reduction reaction, and that has to do with hydrogen. So in terms of hydrogen, an oxidation reaction would involve the removal of hydrogen. Conversely, under the reduction, it would be the opposite of this. It would be the addition of hydrogen. Okay, and lastly, and this is probably the most universal or widely used definition, has to do with electrons. So in general, for an oxidation process to occur, we would have the removal of electrons. Conversely, under reduction, if something is going to be reduced, that means it's going to have the addition of electrons. So with those three definitions in mind, let's just take a look at a couple examples and just see if we could identify whether an oxidation or a reduction took place. In later videos and other series where we get into different reactions, the subtleties of oxidation reduction will become apparent, but let's just see if we can apply these basic rules. So let's look at an example. So if we had this compound here, this would be 2-butene going to 2-butanol. Let's just define what kind of reaction has happened. Is this an oxidation or reduction reaction? All right, so taking a look at this, we could actually just apply the very first definition. So in this case, in going from 2-butene to 2-butanol, we've now added an oxygen. All right, so in adding that oxygen, we essentially now have oxidized this compound. So this would be classified as an oxidation reaction. And this particular carbon has become oxidized. And oftentimes you'll have to identify in a series of reactions or a particular compound which specific carbon has become either oxidized or reduced. So in this particular reaction, the main chemistry that's happening is going on here at this carbon. Now there is also some chemistry going on here at carbon number 3. So carbon number 3 actually does add a hydrogen here, but notice it also has a difference in these pi electrons. So again, there are some subtleties when we're talking about oxidation reduction, but we're just going to focus on the main carbon, whether it's being oxidized or reduced. Let's go through a few more examples of trying to identify whether an oxidation or reduction reaction has taken place. I'll just draw these out fairly quickly. Okay, so here we have an alkene going to an alkane. Now just to help out, let's just draw in the fact that there are 2 hydrogens in this compound, but in the product, coming off of these carbons would actually be additional hydrogens. So one of the definitions of a reduction is the addition of hydrogen. Both of these carbons, in fact, have added hydrogens, so this is a reduction. And we often would abbreviate this as RED in brackets, or you could just write out reduction. Another, if we were actually looking at a metal, let's say iron. Okay, and if we use the Roman numeral nomenclature for this, recall that the 2 represents the fact that this is Fe2+, so it's an oxidation state of 2. Conversely, this would be Fe3+. So in going from a 2+ to a 3+, we would have to remove one electron. Okay, so if you take another electron away, it becomes more positive. So in this case, because we've removed an electron, this is an oxidation. Okay, now if we'd gone the other way, if we had gone from Fe3+ to Fe2+, that would be adding an electron. A definition of reduction is the addition of electrons. Another couple examples. We were to take this compound and convert it into this compound where we had 2 hydrogens now, and then converted this now to an OH group. Well, we've added a hydrogen here. This would be a reduction. Okay, conversely, if we were to take a compound just like that one above and now add an extra oxygen to it, so convert an aldehyde into a carboxylic acid, this would be adding an oxygen. This is an example of an oxidation. And then lastly, we'll take another alcohol compound and convert it into a carbonyl like this. So notice now I've gone from an OH group to now a carbonyl. Notice there is a hydrogen that's now been removed in going from this. So removal of hydrogen or the addition of oxygen. Notice we've gone from 1 bond to oxygen in this compound to 2 bonds. That's sort of considered to be an addition of oxygen. This would be an oxidation. We both removed a hydrogen and made another bond to oxygen. So I hope that helps in terms of getting some idea about identifying whether an oxidation-reduction reaction happens. Definitely try and get a little bit more practice in doing these as well.